Easter is still here.
Resurrection.
People who don't celebrate Easter for 50 days are not my friends.
Whoa, easy.
I'm saying that. We're starting strong this week. Today is, this is airing on Sunday, May 10th. And that is, there are multiple, it's the fifth Sunday of Easter, which is awesome. May 10th is also the feast day of my man, Damien of Molokai.
Is it really?
Yes.
May 10th.
You better believe it. May 10th is his feast day.
Okay.
And it's also Mother's Day.
Really?
It is.
How did Damien of Molokai, did he plan that out? He was like, Mom, I'm going to dedicate my life
Mother's
to
Day
you
moves.
and Jesus.
May 10th, Damien of Molokai's feast day does not move.
Oh, yes.
So this episode could entirely be me talking about my favorite saint, Damien of Molokai. But we won't do that.
Really?
We
Why
won't do
not?
that. I mean, we could.
Would he be disappointed?
He would not be disappointed. He would, I mean, he's humble. He'd probably say, let's talk about the Lord Jesus and not me.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, I digress. So it's still Easter. We're still kind of in shutdown mode. It's the way that goes.
Life is moving.
But life is moving.
Lots of good things.
The coronavirus has stopped a lot of things, but it has not stopped the Holy Spirit.
You know what? It
working
stopped?
In our lives.
Barbershops. I
A lot of people are just doing their own hair.
I woke up this morning and I looked in the mirror and I said, "You look like a clown, Wakulich. You look like."
Are you gonna get it? Get somebody to cut your hair.
No, no.
You want me to do it?
Oh my gosh! My
do you have clippers?
No,
oh.
no, I don't. Maggie Dahl and Leanne Richardson,
yes,
my Focus
missionaries, yeah.
They cut Clayton Caldwell's hair, my Focus team director.
Yeah.
Maybe like 5 weeks before his wedding. And they butchered it so bad.
Why would he let them do that?
It was 5 weeks before his wedding. He's like,
he's such a wise young man. Why would he let them do that?
They were going to taper it on the sides.
Come on.
And Leanne just kept going. And then Maggie's like, I'll fix it. And then his part that doesn't exist. But if you had a part and it was on the side,
yikes, bro.
Like the top. So from, basically like 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock is the kind of weight line in your hair. They had cut it up to like 11 and 1. So he had this basically like a weird looking mohawk on his head.
For his wedding?
No, it finally grew out. But he just got another one.
That's risky.
It is. Going to a barbershop.
Yeah, those are professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A student told me, and I quote,
"Golly.
Father, I don't trust my hair to anybody." So she drove back to Stillwater to get her hair done. She's like,
okay,
I can't do this. So there's things that are not.
There's those Hollywood types. People didn't it happen? There was some politician who flew. I think it was Senator John Edwards. He's disgraced now, but he was a senator from North Carolina.
Yeah,
and he was John Kerry's running mate in 2008. When did?
Oh yeah.
No, 2004.
Oh, he had the girlfriends.
But there was a big scandal because he flew to L.A. to get his hair cut.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Flew to L.A.
Private jet. It was something like that. If I'm
Lower Alabama or Los Angeles.
Participating in gossip right now, I apologize. But flew to L.A. It was some politician flew to L.A. and then had air traffic control had to hold other planes to wait for him to get his hair cut. And then, so all these people were late to things, and so that this guy could get his hair cut. And anyway, I digress.
Wait. They shut down the airport?
Well, because he was a vice presidential candidate, and so was the security. They couldn't have planes flying all around. I think he got his hair cut in the airport or something.
What was his name? Yes.
Senator John Edwards.
Senator
right? John Edwards, yeah.
John Edwards.
Haircut. Google haircut.
If this is true,
it's a real,
this is going to be hilarious. Cost of Edwards haircut hits $1,250.
Yeah.
On CBS.
People are serious about their hair.
Yeah.
Everyone except you, apparently.
Wow.
I live with a clown. We've known that all along, but now it's only confirmed by your whack.
Yeah.
Just do it yourself. Shave your head.
No.
Can I shave your head?
No, you cannot.
What would it take? What would it take?
Wow. Imagine.
If I gave you $50,000, would you shave your
I'd
head?
shave my head.
How about 20?
Nope.
No? What's your number?
My
40?
number?
40,000?
No.
30,000? 50,000 you
50
would?
grand. 50 grand.
But not, you wouldn't do it for 25?
No.
If I were going to give St. John Catholic students that earn $25,000, you wouldn't shave your head?
I'd probably do it, but you started off at 50 and then you started going down.
Everyone has a price.
I knew that you had at least 50 grand.
10?
I knew you had 50 grand.
10?
No. You started at 50.
Well, right. I'm seeing what's your price.
Well, my price would have probably been $10, but you started off with $50,000. There's no way I'm going down.
All right, we want to give today a shout out. We will call this episode an ode to our mothers.
Really?
Yes, because it's Mother's Day, which I just learned about. I had to read up on where Mother's Day came from. It started in 1908.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it came from earlier than that, but
I mean, people have been loving their mothers since the time of Jesus.
So Mother's Day didn't just start with us enacting a feast day for moms.
I just read it started in 1908, so it hasn't really been around that long.
So you didn't prepare for the show at all? Is that what you're saying?
I prepared for the show by I'm ready to talk about how awesome my mom is.
Oh, really? Okay.
So what's very interesting in the world of priests, if you ask wherever you are and the priests in your life, if you ask them, give me like the top 3 influences on your vocation to the priesthood. I'm going to put a number. I'm going to bet 90% of guys will have their mom in their top 3. Oof. They'll usually have there's usually a priest who greatly influences them.
Yes.
And this is not a knock on dads, but I think most guys will name their mother before their father. Is that accurate? Am I spitballing here?
Yeah, I think you're spitballing.
I think more the guys I know, I think their mother had, I mean the father of course has an influence, but their mother had a bigger influence than their father.
Okay.
Is that
I don't know if that's the case with me. I'm kind of thinking about that now and saying like, because I got my vocation when I was in the military, but I also had some things prior to that. I think my parents both equally contributed to my my vocation.
You're an equal opportunity.
Vocational promotion.
I know. I mean, in my own life, my mother was more explicit about encouraging me. So from my father, maybe we can, when Father's Day comes around, we can do a whole show on our dads.
Did your mom talk to you about becoming a priest?
Yes.
My mother, I don't think she ever mentioned I should be a priest. Yes.
Yeah. No, my mom would mention it.
She's like, Marty is not going to be a priest.
And my grandmother was very explicit.
She told you? Brian.
When I was in the 6th grade.
She's like a prophetess, like Anna.
My grandma was
temple.
Awesome.
What was her name?
We should do a show on our grandmas.
I don't know any of my grandparents.
Margaret, Peg Lodge.
I'm sorry, Lodge?
Lodge, Lodge.
Like
that's my mother's maiden name, Lodge.
I thought she was Irish.
No, they were English.
Really?
So my grandmother was a McDonough. Which is
Scottish?
Irish, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then my grandfather was a Lodge.
Oh, right.
So English and Irish intermingled.
Wow, that's interesting.
And then on my dad's side, that's where the O'Briens came from. His father was an O'Brien, and my grandmother was a Daigle.
Oh, like Father Chris Daigle.
Which was French. So even though my last name is O'Brien, I'm actually I need to do my 23andMe. But basically 50%. 50%, if you just go by grandparents, 50% Irish, 25% English, 25% French.
I thought there was didn't your great-grandfather was Oshak Hennessy?
No O'Shaughnessy's in there.
No Oshak Hennessy's in there? Oh, that would be brilliant.
But anyway, back to mothers. So my grandmother, I was in 6th grade, my grandmother was explicit in saying, I want you to think about being a priest. And then my mom was not that explicit, but I actually have, I keep it in my Bible. When I was in college, my mom sent me a note. So this is like before email was big. She sent me a note, and it was a copy of a homily that John Paul II gave, where he spoke specifically to young people and encouraged young men to think about the priesthood. And my mom like wrote a little note on it, basically saying like, this could be you.
Wow.
Yep.
Geez,
Yep.
like wrote very clearly, Brian O'Brien.
I'll show it to you. It's awesome. I keep it in my Bible.
Jeez,
Yeah.
dude. Okay, I didn't know because
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember my mother ever sitting me down and be like, we love you more than every other children in the family. So,
But did your mom? Obviously your mom prayed for you. Did she pray that you would be a priest?
I don't know. I've never asked her.
Oh.
I should call her and ask her.
Yeah.
Should I text her right now and ask her?
Oh, you can if you want.
Okay, I'll text her right now and ask
You
her.
text her. We'll see if we can get it. See if we can get an answer.
This is the first time I've ever texted.
This should be a
during
call-in show.
Yeah. So that.
But no, I
know
think
parents
in
that
the life
are.
of many priests, and I think, both of us, whether it's explicit or not, our mothers have been a great influence. So this is actually an interesting story. When I was in seminary, it was right before I was ordained. The Eastern Oklahoma Catholic. Let me see if I can find that. We're both going to spend this whole episode on our phones.
No, the Easter. What was the episode?
I wrote like a little article for the Eastern Oklahoma Catholic about mothers. Let's see if I can
Really?
find that.
Why'd you write that about mothers?
They asked me to.
Okay.
Because I was about to be ordained, and so they were like,
No, okay, so my mom always told me that my grandmother always prayed for a priest in the family. And
"Ooh, yeah,
beat the gates in heaven like, I want one of my boys to be a priest. I don't know why she accents like that. But
Wow.
anyway, when you have 13 kids in the family, one of them's going to end up being a priest, right? Or none. And none of them. One of my aunties went to the convent and became, I think, a sister of St. Joseph, and then I was there like 2 or 3 years and then bounced. Well, I think my grandmother, Bassett, I don't even know. I don't ever remember meeting my grandparents. So they've been dead years. What is in my memory bank is that. My grandmother, so I need to offer mass for her. But it's I don't remember my mother ever sitting me down and saying, Carrie, you should think about becoming a
What's
priest.
the best thing? Like, tell us about your mom. Why is she awesome?
Why is my mom awesome?
Or not awesome? Maybe you don't think she is.
She has this fun, laughing spirit about her. Like I would pester her when I was in high school.
No.
And she would play tricks on me. Like on one occasion, this is funny. My mother was cooking in the kitchen, and she was getting something out of the cabinet, and I put her in a bear hug, and she was like, "Let me go," and then she was like hitting me with a wooden spoon in the hand. "Let me go," and I wouldn't let her go. So she backed. You know the ovens have those glass doors.
Yeah.
She put her foot against the countertop and pushed me against the stove, and I could feel this red square on my back growing in pain. And my mother's like, "Okay, you want to play this game?" She was always willing to like joke around and always had this jovial spirit. My mother was a geologist. She raised us kids, and then she went to TU to study geology and education. So another good quality. My mother's intelligent, like super intelligent and hardworking.
Educated, yeah.
Hardworking. Like she got her undergrad with 3 kids. Like she went to the University of Tulsa and started her undergrad and finished it there at the University of Tulsa with 3 kids, 2 kids in school, and like this little goob wad, me. So. My mother, she's an awesome woman, and she doesn't put up, another thing. She's like grew up kind of like very poor family. My dad grew up in the projects in New York City. At least that's the line that
the Boogie Down Bronx.
the Lower East Side of Manhattan in the Russian district, the kind of the poor area. And my mother grew up in a really poor. So they just.
Where's your mom from?
She's from outside of Salina, but she grew up in a small house.
Kansas, okay.
Yeah. So she, my parents are just hard workers, and my mother, I think, instilled that in me. Like, of this hard work. You know, another thing, my
When
mother.
will that start? When will the hard work start for you?
Oh,
Is that coming?
you
Do
know
we
what?
flip a switch at 45 or something? Or
I'm glad I gave up.
is this starting?
Slashing your car tires for Easter.
I would,
You're lucky. You're lucky. Wait for Pentecost to get
I
here.
park in the garage. You're not allowed in the garage.
Yeah. And so another really cool thing about my mom is just this beautiful love of nature and God.
Ooh.
Yeah,
What does she love about nature?
She always had gardens and butterfly gardens and vegetables and stuff like that.
Really?
So that's why I love like just the outdoors and like growing things and gardens and plants and animals. So my mother had that, and then she has this incredible faith life. She always jokingly said she has her knees hurt not from scrubbing floors but from praying for us. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
That's awesome.
So my mother
awesome.
is a pretty awesome gal. I sent her, and she puts up with my jovialness. On one occasion, I sent her a birthday card. I was living in Kuwait in the desert, and I went to the local. We lived outside of an army post about 50 miles in the desert. And we'd go back and get supplies. And I went back and I went to the card section at the whatever
The general store there.
Yeah. the Army Air Force AFES, Army Air Force Exchange Centers. So I went to the AFES there, and they had one card left, and it said, "It's a boy." And so I sent it to my mom as a birthday
That's
card,
awesome.
and she kept it and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a really awesome side to my mom. I don't get to see my parents 24/7, 365. And when I was in the Air Force, I didn't see them for 5-6 years very much.
Wow.
And then in seminary, you don't see them. You're gone for 4 or 5 months.
But
at a
now,
time.
when things are not shut
I haven't
down
seen them
due
since
to-
February.
due to a pandemic.
February.
But they live in Tulsa, so you can.
So
you
I
can get
call,
over there
FaceTime.
and-
Yeah, there's all those technology that you can use now to
Stay in
Google
touch.
Hangout
Yeah.
to hang out. House party.
Yeah, your mom's awesome.
Thanks. Okay, so tell me about your mom, and why is other
Peggy.
than
Peggy.
the insulting things she says to me
No,
that are
my
not allowed to
mom,
be said on TV.
I think there are sort of two characteristics that define my mother. One is her Catholic faith. There is nothing more important. It defines her. It's what she does. Her life of prayer, which has changed over the years from when she was little. They were devout Catholics. She, as a single woman, before she met my dad, would go to mass as often as she could. I think I've told the story on the show before, but when she was in her mid-20s, so my mom was a teacher, and got a master's degree in English. Wrote her thesis on I think it was the 92 minor characters of James Joyce's Ulysses.
What?
Irish literature was her. So a master's in education or English, was a teacher.
Okay. And
was, but felt super called to the vocation of marriage. And so went to the shrine of St. Anne.
Give me a man.
St. Anne, send me a man. That was her prayer. And then met my dad. And
where's the Shrine of St. Anne?
There's a church in downtown Boston.
And it's called the Shrine of St. Anne?
Well, it's a St. Anne's church. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it isn't that St. Anne in Coppell? That's your home parish?
Yeah. There's a St. Anne's in Broken Arrow, too.
Oh.
And
okay.
Scheidler. And
So
so has this devotion to St. Anne, who is the grandmother of Jesus, Joachim and Anne, the grandparents,
right.
the parents of Mary. And just had, hey, Anne, intercede for me and help me to find, a husband. And her prayer, this is so telling, right? Her prayer was, St. Anne, send me a man, which is just funny, with whom I will be happiest and holiest.
Ooh.
That was this desire in her heart to be a woman of faith, help me to find a husband that will help me to be happy. Everybody wants to be happy. Mm-hmm. But her primary concern was, I also want to be holy.
Yeah.
Woo! And so she meets my dad, and off they go. And so my mom was a teacher, taught for many years, and then once she got married and started having kids, then was a stay-at-home mom. But I think for us, we were not homeschooled, but like there was a great deal of education that happened in my home. I mean, I learned to write and from my English teachers, of course, but my mom, like, along the way, I mean, she would teach us how to write and how to speak. And
right. You know what? I think there's a similarity between our mothers, that our dads were in the oil and gas business.
Yep.
And so I remember as a kid, like, my dad being gone for 4, 5, 6 months at a time. Like,
yeah, my dad traveled a lot.
Building an oil platform in the Persian Gulf. That was a really cool day when one of the U.S. guided missile frigates blew up a oil platform in the Persian Gulf, which my dad built.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, that's what my dad worked for the Iranian gas company in the 70s, in the early 70s, before the Shah was overthrown. And so why my dad was working overseas, making money for the family, my mother was taking care of raising kids.
Yeah.
My dad would be in Kuwait or Saudi Arabia or someplace. And what will my mom be doing?
Holding down the fort at home.
She was
a great woman of faith. But then I think her other defining characteristic is humor. Like, my mom she is straight up funny.
She is,
and she's funny, like, in person, and not like, she doesn't like tell knock jokes. She just has like a joyful disposition about her. But like in writing, I mean, when she's in her like emails and I mean to everybody. So for example, like when my brother got married, she would send like an email to my sister-in-law, and she would sign it like MIL, mother-in-law. And then, but she would like call my sister-in-law, like she would call her DIL, like daughter-in-law. And so now, to this day, like they still call each other like Dilly and Millie.
Really?
Daughter-in-law and mother-in-law. And then like I would call her like silly, like sister. She's my sister-in-law. So like my parents are referred to as Millie and Phil, FIL, father-in-law. But that all started with like my mom and just kind of her clever way of like, just sort of speaking and writing, and everything was sort of, so she calls me like father-son. Like I'm a priest and I'm her son. And so she calls me, hi, father-son, how are you? Just stuff like that. I mean, just so funny. And just has this great, sort of disposition about her. And that has, and in many ways kind of defined our family, of being a family of like, of good humor and joy and faith. I mean, that the Catholic faith is central to who she is and therefore who we are.
Okay. Now, a woman that is also an awesome example of a mom you want to give a shout out to, Pam. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I have so many. Oh man, there's so many so many great moms in my life. Pam is my college
Pam,
friend.
how'd you come up with that name?
Pam Tupi, who she and her husband and the kids they listened out from out in California, are just all awesome. And there's so many examples of that. I mean, Pam is awesome. You look around the parish, you look around at the friends I've had. I mean, just these moms who have such a profound influence, certainly in their own marriages and families, but then who have had, and I know you do too, one of the things that helps priests is to have friends who are married.
Right. Exactly.
I am a better priest because of those married people in my life. And hopefully because I've helped them to have a better marriage. But it's dozens of people, couples I've married, couples I've been, are with since I was little or from college.
Yes.
And these, so in particular today, these moms, are just, they have had are a profound example of self-gift.
Yeah, precisely.
Patterning their own lives after the life of Mary. Of giving her son away. I think of that in the mysteries of the Rosary. We pray the presentation. They bring Jesus to the temple to present him,
correct,
to God. Of how many mothers have just, their lives are about what John Paul II, the law of the gift, right? Their lives are meant to be to be given away.
Yes.
And that's what these moms do. They've given their lives away in service to their spouse and to their children.
Yeah.
And it's pretty dang inspiring.
It is. I just watched my best buddy, Chuck Slagle. You know, he's like lots of deployments, lots of being around the world. And to see his wife like run the show.
Yeah.
They graduated from OSU. She was a chemical engineer, and just watch her pack up a family and move it to another state.
Heroic.
Heroic courage. And to know, like, moms know what they're really excellent at and what they're not excellent at, too. There's this great humility in there. And so I just love the beauty of moms. And they're wise. They've just accumulated all of this experience, and they're tender and they're gentle. And they would know when to
tough.
They know when to knock us across the head and say,
like
quit being a dum-dum.
My mom is like not a very big person. I mean,
she's shorter. She's like 4'10".
She's tiny. But like, she is tough. My mom, I mean, I was 6 months old. My mom had a brain tumor. Like, that was 44 years ago.
Yeah.
And has lived with the effects of that for her whole life. Like my mom, the left side of her body doesn't work as well as the right side of her body. My mom wears a brace on her left leg, and I've never seen my mom like sort of walk normally or run or, has had this sort of physical disability, but like, has that slowed her down?
Ain't nothing gonna slow her down.
No. I mean, so you want to talk about tough. I mean, my mom is tough. We've moved several times. She's raised 5 kids. My dad traveled a lot and kind of working through that. I mean, so if you looked at her, you would not think, ooh, that lady's tough. Mm-hmm. But if you know her.
Right. You know how tough my mom is?
Tough.
I lost a hammer one time. We were fixing a fence, and she just came over and punched the nails into the wood boards.
Really?
Yeah. No, that's a lie.
Jeez. That'd be awesome. But just, that, so within that sort of gentle, joyful disposition, there is a fierceness, both of faith and the kind of perseverance. I mean,
yes.
that to see that through, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Our moms. And other moms, too.
An ode to our moms.
Ode to our moms.
But on this Mother's Day, and I know many, many people out there may be listening, either, maybe your moms have died. Maybe you don't have a great relationship with your mom. But we just, we thought that's not been our experience. Our mothers are still going strong, and our mothers are, have been great examples for us.
Saintly examples.
And have helped us to become priests. And so, again, I don't know, maybe that's not been your experience, but that's been ours. And so we wanted to just do a little shout out because we have a radio show and you don't. And so we're talking about our moms and not yours.
So call your mom up or call someone that has also been influential in your life. Maybe a replacement mom. Your mom wasn't around, or maybe you got these moms that have adopted you.
Oh, for a lot of people, aunts, an aunt or a grandma,
or someone a mom who's like, she's been a really good example to you, or even your wife, who's the mother of the kids,
the mother of your children.
You owe a debt of gratitude. Owe a debt of gratitude to the moms today. So whether Mother's Day has started with some sort of mystery in the 1918s, or it's been celebrated since 1908.
You're thinking of the Spanish flu, not to be confused with Mother's Day.
Yes.
But ultimately, when we think about moms, we think about the Blessed Virgin Mary and what a wonderful and perfect mom she was to our Lord. And so maybe pray the rosary today. Maybe that's not a prayer you're used to doing, but pray a rosary. Pray a Hail Mary for your mom. And for moms everywhere.
Indeed.
So happy Mother's Day, Mom.
Happy Mother's Day.
I'll call you later.
Mom Wakulich.
I'll call you later, and you can check it off. That my mom keeps a little list on the board of who's called on her birthday, on Mother's Day. You can check the box. All right, we're out of here.
Peace.
Have a great
blessings.
Happy Easter. Great evening. Happy Easter. Happy Mother's Day. God bless.